Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash. I am here to talk to you about the 10-game slate in the NBA tonight. We have a huge 10-game slate to go over. Before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, if you would hit the like button and then hit subscribe. After you've done those two things, if you would hit the alarm bell, that will let you know when our newest podcast has gone live. If you haven't joined us at DFS Coach Talk yet, we would love to have you join us. We have a March Madness special right now. All you have to do is send us a DM on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk and let us know that you are asking about our March Madness special, and you will get in for the rest of the month for only $10. So we hope to see you soon. DFS Coach Talk is a very family-friendly, very encouraging community. In our Discord, we provide lineups for FanDuel and Yahoo, as well as a core plays for DraftKings. So we hope to see you soon. Hit us up on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. Let us know you want to know about the March Madness special. All right. So like I said, we've got a 10-game slate. There's a lot of news that's still out there. I'm waiting on a lot of it. The first game is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern, the Denver Nuggets at the Washington Wizards. Denver is favored by 8, has a 226.5 over under. For the Nuggets, Connor Gillespie is out. For the Wizards, it looks like Bradley Beal is questionable and Kyle Kuzma is out. So that's some news that has developed since I initially built my lineups. So that could potentially change how I'm looking at them. But so far for now, you've got projected starting lineups of Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets. For the Wizards, Monty Morris, Bradley Beal, who, as I mentioned, is questionable, Corey Kispert, Kristaps Porzingis, and Daniel Gafford. In this game, plays I'm looking at, the Joker, he's 11.5 on DraftKings, 11.9 on FanDuel, $57 on Yahoo. He has averaged 73.2 DraftKings points in his last 3 games against the Wizards. He had 82 DraftKings points against them on December 14th. Right now, he's very low owned, 2.6% on DraftKings, 1% on FanDuel, and 0.1% on Yahoo. So if you want to have a nice pay-up option in a tournament, I think Jokic is a really good play. He's not getting hardly any ownership, especially for a pay-up guy. And then you have Jamal Murray. He's 7,700 on DraftKings and FanDuel, $27 on Yahoo. He's averaged 47.1 DraftKings points in his last 4 games against the Wizards. He's at 11.8% on DraftKings, 18.8% on FanDuel, and 22.8% on Yahoo. Then for the Wizards, the play I'm looking at primarily with Kuzma out is Deni Avdija. He's 5,400 on DraftKings, 5,200 on FanDuel, and $12 on Yahoo. He's averaged 31.3 DraftKings points in his last 3 games with Kyle Kuzma out. He had 37 DraftKings points against Orlando last night. He's coming in at low ownership on DraftKings at only 6.8. He is higher owned on FanDuel, and he's the highest owned on Yahoo right now. So he's 35.3% owned on FanDuel, 40.6% on Yahoo. Then you have the revenge narrative here with Monty Morris. He used to play for Denver. He's 4,600 on DraftKings, 4,900 on FanDuel, and $14 on Yahoo. He did have 34.5 DK points against the Nuggets on December 14th. He has 10% projected owned on DraftKings, 20.3% on FanDuel, and 3% only on Yahoo. Let me go ahead and take a look at the chat. Say hello to everybody. Stacks, how's it going? David Dulac, what's up, man? Nathan Feudy, how are you? Doug, how are you? Coach Darby, good to have you here. Haven't seen you in a little while. Charlie, how's it going, man? Everybody's 2 favorite pay-up options. Yeah, I'll get to that here in a minute. All right, so the next game, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the Golden State Warriors at the Dallas Mavericks. We did get the news here that Dallas is expecting Luka Doncic to play. He's listed as probable. Kyrie Irving is still listed as questionable, as is Tim Hardaway Jr. and Markieff Morris. And then for the Warriors, looks like Draymond Green will play. He's likely to play. And then Kevon Looney is also likely to play. And then you have Iguodala out, Ty Jerome out, Gary Payton II out, and of course Andrew Wiggins is still out. So the projected starting lineups, you've got Curry, Thompson, DiVincenzo, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney. For the Mavericks, Doncic, Kyrie Irving, if he plays, Josh Green, Reggie Bullock, and Dwight Powell. So as of now, the only plays that I have on the Warriors, Draymond Green. He's only 6,000 on DraftKings, 6,300 on FanDuel, $13 on Yahoo. He did have 46.3 DraftKings points against Dallas on February 4th. The Mavericks have allowed the 8th most fantasy points to power forwards this year. He's 19.8% projected owned on DraftKings, 27.9% on FanDuel, and 13.8% on Yahoo. And then for the Mavericks, I was really looking at Kyrie because he had gone over 60 fantasy points in like 3 or 4 of his last 5 games against the Warriors. And they have allowed the 5th most fantasy points to point guards. So might potentially look at Luka if Kyrie's out, but if they both play, I'm not going to go to them. I just think there's better options on a 10-game slate. So that's kind of my look at this slate. If Kyrie is out, that will bring in Jaden Hardy into play. And so let me see what his ownership is looking at right now, because I would think with Kyrie questionable, now his ownership isn't anywhere near anything right now. It's still below 1%. So, but yeah, if Kyrie sits, then Jaden Hardy is in play too. So next game, we have the New York Knicks at the Miami Heat, also starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This game has one of the lowest over-unders on the slate at 224.5. I don't think I mentioned the last game. It has a 236 over-under. There is no current spread as of now with the news on Kyrie, waiting on that. So for this other game, the Heat and the Knicks, Heat hosting the Knicks, Miami favored by 224.5 over-under, which I think it's one of, if not the lowest over-unders. Okay, so the lowest over-under is Philadelphia, Chicago. This is the second lowest over-under on the night. So for the Knicks, looks like they're pretty healthy. They don't have anybody listed on their injury report. And then for the Heat, Kyle Lowry is questionable. Same thing with Caleb Martin. Let me see if there's an update on that. So Kyle Lowry now says questionable, but he is expected to play. And Caleb Martin just says questionable. So I don't think he's going to play. All right, so for the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. For the Heat, Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo. So it sounds like Kyle Lowry is probably going to be coming off the bench unless they just haven't updated this lineups. So that's interesting. So for me in this game, only a couple plays. Julius Randle, he's 9,300 on DraftKings, 9,400 on FanDuel, $40 on Yahoo. He has averaged 56.6 DraftKings points in his 2 games against the Heat this year. He did have 63.3 DraftKings points on March 3rd in Miami. And he's at 5% owned on DraftKings, 2.7% on FanDuel, and 0.8% on Yahoo. So he's another a little bit of a value, I guess, for a pay-up option because he's not double digits, 10, 11, 12K. 9,300, 9,400, and then 40 on Yahoo. A little bit of a pivot option in tournaments. And then 5% on DraftKings, 2.7% owned on FanDuel, and 0.8% on Yahoo. Then you have Jalen Brunson at 7,300 on DraftKings and $31 on Yahoo. I think those are very fair prices for him. He's 8,600 on FanDuel, so probably not going to go to him over there. He did have 44.5 DraftKings points against the Heat on March 3rd, and he's at 14.2% on DraftKings, 1.4, which I would expect with his $8,600 tag over there, and then 2.4% on Yahoo. So on Yahoo and DraftKings, I think Jalen Brunson's in play. Not going to go to him on FanDuel at 8,600. That's just too much. All right, so for the Heat, Jimmy Butler, 8,400 on DraftKings, 9,500 on FanDuel, $37 on Yahoo. He did have 55 DraftKings points against the Knicks on March 3rd. He's coming in at 18.8% on DraftKings, 8.3% on FanDuel, where he's overpriced at 9,500, and 17.4% on Yahoo at $37. And you have Tyler Hero. His price has come down significantly from where it was. He was in the high 7s to low 8s most of the year. He's at 6,800 now on DraftKings, 7,300 on FanDuel, and only $25 on Yahoo. He's averaged 49.1 DK points in his 2 games against the Knicks this year. He's 13.2% on DraftKings, 6.8% on FanDuel, and 8% on Yahoo. Next game at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the Indiana Pacers at the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are favored by 9, has a 234 over-under. Chris Duarte and, of course, Tyrese Halliburton are both listed as questionable. I don't think either one of them are going to play, but we'll see what happens. But I don't think either one of those guys are going to play. And then Precious Achiuwa was added to the injury report, listed as questionable. Scotty Barnes is questionable. And Gary Trent Jr. is also listed as questionable. So that is the latest on the Raptors. So the projected starting lineups, you've got Andrew Nembhard, Buddy Hield, Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, and Miles Turner for the Pacers. Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, if he plays, like I said, he's questionable. And then Pascal Siakam and Jakob Poeltl for the Raptors. Not a whole lot here for me. The only play I'm really looking at in this game right now is going to be Jakob Poeltl. He's 6,900 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel, and $27 on Yahoo. The Pacers have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to centers this year. He did have 41.5 DraftKings points against Indiana on January 21st. That was with San Antonio, not with Toronto. But I can say that I expect similar numbers, somewhere in the low to mid 40 fantasy points, I think, for Jakob Poeltl tonight. He's 14.2% on DraftKings, 16.7% on FanDuel, and 15.8% on Yahoo. Go ahead and take a look at the chat. Hey, what's up, Absolute Power? How's it going? Avdia Chalk. Yeah, I think at least last I checked he was. Let me check and see where we're at now. He may have dropped. It looks like he's dropped, actually, with the news that we got about Corey Kispert starting, which I don't know why they would start him over Avdia. That doesn't make sense to me. So on DraftKings, Avdia is at 6.8%. And on FanDuel, he is at, is that right? Even listed? Wow, he must be getting really low owned now. Okay, so he's not on FanDuel. And then, yeah, they've dropped his ownership significantly, it looks like. No, on Yahoo, he still is high owned. He's only $12 on Yahoo. He's at 40.6%. Let me check something over here. Okay, I had a filter on. Okay, so Avdia on FanDuel is 35.3%, and then on Yahoo he's 40.6%. So yeah, he's still high owned for sure. Make sure I don't have any filters on the DraftKings. Yeah, so he's still real low on 6.8% over on DraftKings. See if that's what he was. Yeah, 6.8. So that hasn't changed. All right, so next game we've got the Philadelphia 76ers at the Chicago Bulls, rematch from Monday in Philly when they went to double overtime. Philly is favored by 3.5, even though Chicago won this last game in Philadelphia. It's a 221.5 over under. For the Sixers, you've got James Harden is listed as questionable. Yeah, he's questionable. So that's big news for them. And then Jalen McDaniels is also questionable. And same thing for PJ Tucker. And then for the Bulls, looks like Javonte Green is going to play. He's probable. And Alex Caruso is questionable. So the starting lineups, you have James Harden. Like I said, he's questionable. if he plays, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid. And then for the Bulls, Patrick Beverley, Alex Caruso. Like I said, he's questionable. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic. In this game, I like Embiid. He's 11-7 on DraftKings, 12-1 on FanDuel, $57 on Yahoo, especially if Harden's out. He did have 65.5 DraftKings points against the Bulls on Monday. He's 4.3% owned on DraftKings, 3.4% on FanDuel, and 1.6% on Yahoo. And then for the Bulls, DeRozan, he's 8,700 on DraftKings, 9,200 on FanDuel, and $38 on Yahoo. Also, like if he plays, I like Alex Caruso, mainly on DraftKings and Yahoo. On DraftKings, he's only 3,100. On Yahoo, he's $10. He did have 29.8 DraftKings points in their game on Monday in Philly. So I do think Caruso is a decent value play. We have the next game, the San Antonio Spurs at the Milwaukee Bucks. Also starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. Milwaukee is favored by 17.5. I think that's probably the highest point spread I've seen all year. As a 238 over under, you have Keldon Johnson, who is questionable. Jeremy Sohan is also questionable. And then they have a bunch of guys that are listed as out. So Devontae Graham, Trey Jones, Romeo Langford, Doug McDermott, and Khem Birch are all listed as out. The projected starting lineup as of now, Malachi Branham, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, and Zach Collins. And then for the Bucks, Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez. And then Jay Crowder, Goran Dragic, who hasn't played yet for the Bucks since they traded for or signed him. And then Myers Leonard, those guys are all out. All right, so for this game, not really anybody that I like, honestly. I just don't think that this game is going to stay that close. The only play that I like as a tournament play is going to be Joe Ingles in that backup point guard role coming off the bench, especially if it is a blowout, which with the 17.5 point favorite, that's obviously what Vegas expects. So Joe Ingles, 4,400 on DraftKings, 4,700 on FanDuel, and $10 on Yahoo. All right, the next game, we have the Atlanta Hawks in Minnesota taking on the Timberwolves, 8 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota is favored by 5. This game has the highest over-under on the slate, 241.5. We already know that DeJounte Murray is out for the Hawks. Jalen Johnson is also out, and Bogdan Bogdanovic is questionable. Karl Anthony Towns is expected to be back in the lineup for Minnesota, so that was big news, but he did miss 51 games, so I don't think he's going to be playing full minutes by any means. Anthony Edwards is questionable, and then Jordan McLaughlin and Jalen Noel are also questionable. So you've got the projected starting lineup as of now: Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Kyle Anderson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert. On the Hawks with DeJounte Murray out, obviously you can look at Trae Young. He's 9,400 on DraftKings, 10,000 on FanDuel, $37 on Yahoo. He's averaged 59.6 DraftKings points in his last 5 games against the Timberwolves, and he had right around there with 59.5 last Monday. He's 8.8% on DraftKings, 2.8% on FanDuel, and 19.2% on Yahoo, which I'm going to double check and make sure that that's the latest numbers, because that was before DeJounte Murray was ruled out that I had got those numbers. So let me check. All right, so Trae Young now, yeah, he's jumped up a lot. Okay, so Trae Young is now 31.3% projected on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he is at 16.1%. And on Yahoo, he is at 48.2. So he's now the highest projected owned player on Yahoo at 48.2%. And he was 19.2%. So 29% that jumped up when DeJounte Murray was ruled out. So yeah, Trae Young is definitely going to be very popular tonight. And then on the Wolves, I don't really have anybody with Karl Anthony Towns in there. If we find out that Anthony Edwards is out, then, I could maybe look at Rudy Gobert or Kyle Anderson or even Mike Conley. But as of right now, that's kind of what I'm looking at, is just Trae Young. And then there's one other play that I like. Let me see real quick here. Clint Capella, he's only 5,600 on DraftKings. That's a pretty good price for him. All right, next game, the Houston Rockets at the Memphis Grizzlies, 8 p.m. Eastern. Memphis is favored by 12.5, has a 231.5 over/under. Jayshawn Tate is out for the Rockets, and then for the Grizzlies, they will be getting Ja Morant back. I think he's supposed to be on some kind of a minutes limit, though. Yeah, he's supposed to come off the bench, in fact. So he's not going to be seeing the full workload by any means. So Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, Zaire Williams, and Vince Williams are all out for Memphis. Projected starting lineup, you've got Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Kenyon Martin Jr., Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun for the Rockets. For the Grizzlies, it shows Ja Morant, but if he's coming off the bench, I'm expecting it to be Tyus Jones, then Desmond Bane, John Conchar, and Jaren Jackson, and Xavier Tillman. Not really anybody on the Houston side that I like. I do like Desmond Bane on DraftKings. He's 7,600, 7,800 on FanDuel, and $30 on Yahoo. He did have 54.8 DraftKings points against Houston on March 1st, and they have allowed the 7th most fantasy points to shooting guards this year. He's 17.4% on DraftKings, 24.6% on FanDuel, and 16% on Yahoo. Then Xavier Tillman is 5,100 on DraftKings, 5,300 on FanDuel, and $16 on Yahoo. Very low owned at only 5% on DraftKings. He is 31.2% on FanDuel and 9.6% on Yahoo. Then you have some more value plays here. You've got, I'm just going to name them. I'm not going to go over all their ownership and everything. I will give you one of them because it's very high. But first of all, Luke Kennard, and then David Roddy on FanDuel. On FanDuel, he's 47.9% owned. Actually on DraftKings, sorry. So he's 3,200 on DraftKings, and he's 47.9% projected ownership over on DraftKings. And then Conchar, he's very cheap as well. He's lower owned, projected owned than the other guys, but he's some value too. So you've got Kennard, Roddy, and John Conchar all as value plays. And I would throw in Santi Aldama in there as well. So you've got some good value here against the Houston team that struggles to defend. All right, the next game, the Portland Trailblazers at the Utah Jazz. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. Utah is favored by 5. It has a 235 over/under. Jeremy Grant, Nasir Little, and Anthony Simons are all out for the Blazers. For the Jazz, Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton are out. The projected starting lineup, you've got Damian Lillard, Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, Trenton Wofford, and Yusuf Nurkic for the Blazers. And then for the Jazz, Talen Horton-Tucker, Ochai Agbaji, Lauri Markkanen, Kelly Olynyk, and Walker Kessler. Damian Lillard is one of the top plays on the slate. He is 10.5 on DraftKings, 10.3 on FanDuel, $47 on Yahoo. He had 89.3 DraftKings points the last time he faced Utah. That was on January 25th when he scored 60 points, real points. He is projected right now at 44.1% on DraftKings, 46.2% on FanDuel, and 37% on Yahoo. Next up, you have Yusuf Nurkic. He's 6,200 on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel, $19 on Yahoo. The Jazz have allowed the 7th most fantasy points to centers this year. He's at 24.8% on DraftKings, 10.7% on FanDuel, and 38% on Yahoo. And the Blazers are definitely one of the highest owned teams on the slate. Trenton Wofford is 5,300 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel, $16 on Yahoo. Like I said before, Jeremy Grant is out, so he'll be starting in his place. He's 13.5% projected on DraftKings, 27% on FanDuel, and 36% on Yahoo. Then you have Cam Reddish. $4,500 on DraftKings, $5,000 on FanDuel, $12 on Yahoo. He's 33.3% on DraftKings, 43.3% on FanDuel, and 36.6% on Yahoo. And then Matisse Thybulle as well. He's 3,900 on DraftKings, 4,500 on FanDuel, $13 on Yahoo. He's at 13.4% on DraftKings, 32.6% on FanDuel, and 4.2% on Yahoo. The other play that I like in this game is Agbaji. He looked really good to me in the game against Sacramento the other night with Sexton and Clarkson out of the lineup. I think he'll be starting again. He's 5,000 on DraftKings, 4,700 on FanDuel, $12 on Yahoo. He did have 42.3 DraftKings points against the Kings on Monday, and I think that he's a young star in the making. So I think he's a really good play once again. All right, let me look at the chat. Middle build or scrubs and stars? I'm more scrubs and stars tonight. Not always that way on the smaller slates. I like more of the middle build, but I think I'm going to go more stars and scrubs tonight on a 10-game slate. Last game of the night, the Suns at the Lakers. The Suns are favored by 1, has a 229 over under. DeAndre Ayton and, of course, Kevin Durant are out for Phoenix. And then for the Lakers, Anthony Davis, yeah, he's likely to play. He's always on the injury report, it seems like. So he is likely to play, though. And then LeBron and Mo Bamba are out. You've got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Josh Okogie, Torrey Craig, Bismack Biyombo as a starting lineup for the Suns, projected starting lineup. And then for the Lakers, their projected starting lineup is D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Troy Brown Jr., Jared Vanderbilt, and Anthony Davis. The plays I'm looking at here primarily are on the Suns. Devin Booker, he's 9,900 on DraftKings, 10-1 on FanDuel, $40 on Yahoo. He's getting low ownership at only 6.3 on DraftKings and FanDuel. He is getting a little bit more where he's $40 on Yahoo. He's at 18.4% ownership over there. Then you have Chris Paul. He's 7,600 on DraftKings, 8,100 on FanDuel, and $31 on Yahoo. He did have 50.5 DraftKings points against the Lakers on December 19th. The Lakers have allowed the third most fantasy points to point guards this year. He's at 7.5% on DraftKings, 9.1% on FanDuel, and 5.6% on Yahoo. And then with DeAndre Ayton out, you have who should be pretty popular, Bismack Biyombo. He's 3,700 on DraftKings, 4,800 on FanDuel, and $10 on Yahoo. The Lakers have allowed the fifth most fantasy points to centers this year. He's at 21.3% on DraftKings, 9.3% on FanDuel, and 14% on Yahoo. On the Lakers, there is a couple plays that I do like. Anthony Davis would be one. He's 10-4 on DraftKings, 11-1 on FanDuel, $48 on Yahoo. He did have 84.8 DraftKings points against Phoenix on November 22nd. He's 9.3% on DraftKings, 6.5% on FanDuel, and 7.2% on Yahoo. It does seem to me, though, like since D'Angelo Russell came back, that Anthony Davis hasn't been putting up as big of numbers. So that's a little bit discouraging and concerning. But I still think Anthony Davis is potentially, one of the higher scorers on the slate. Then you have Austin Reeves. He's 6,400 on DraftKings and FanDuel, $19 on Yahoo. He's coming in at less than 1% ownership. He did have 50.5 DraftKings points against the Magic on Sunday, but he's averaged 37.2 over his last four. And I think that he's really coming on strong for them. So I do think that he's a good play in tournaments at less than 1% ownership. I'll go ahead and take a look at the chat. Yeah, I really like Booker and Paul as well, Doug. So on PrizePicks, my top plays are going to be DeMar DeRozan, more than 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's averaged 43.8 points, rebounds, and assists, or PRA, in the last 5 games. He's gone over that number 5 straight games. And Giannis, I like the under at 31.5 points. This should be a blowout, and he has gone under that number in 3 of his last 5 games. So as they get healthier, and Middleton and Holiday are getting more involved. Same thing with Lopez now. He's just having a really strong second half of the season. Giannis hasn't been scoring as many points, and if it's a blowout, then he should definitely go below that number. And then Austin Reeves, I like more than 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And he's been averaging 29.2 PRA over his last 5 games. So you got Giannis under 31.5, DeRozan over 31.5 PRA, and Austin Reeves more than 21.5 PRA. Beal is out. Okay, that's new. So obviously with Beal being out, Porzingis comes into play for sure. He was already in play, but I think he's even that much stronger now. Let me look and see what his ownership looks like so far. They may not have the latest update yet with Beal being out. Yeah, I don't think they do. It looks like the Joker's ownership has gone up throughout the day too. He's now 13% on DraftKings. Still pretty low owned at 4.6 on FanDuel. And looks like on Yahoo, he's still low owned on Yahoo and FanDuel for sure, but coming up a little bit on DraftKings. So, guys, I think that is going to do it. I will be back again tomorrow. I haven't looked at the slate yet, but it's usually a smaller slate on Thursday, so it'll be a quicker show. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Hope everybody has an awesome night tonight. There's going to be a lot of value, so it's probably going to be one of the higher scoring slates of the year. And so just keep an eye on that, and just keep that in mind when you're looking at building your lineups and your bankroll. I would probably go a little bit lighter tonight. These bigger slates are a lot harder to cash on, in my opinion. So just keep that in mind. But hopefully everything comes together. We have an awesome night, and we'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA, DFS, and PrizePicks. Thank you.